Hello and welcome to another episode of Cyrils Brettspiele. My name is Nils and today, in a nutshell, Caverna Cave vs. Cave, the two-player version of Caverna. Yeah, Caverna Cave vs. Cave is also Uwe Rosenberg, and it came in one of these small square boxes like all the two-player games from Mayfair Games / Lookout Games. Yeah, and let's take a look what's inside and how it works. So first of all, you have this line here. This line is divided into 4 different sections, 1, 2, 3 and 4 section. The one does not have ones on it, the other ones have. Here are also dwarfs on it, here 2, 3 and 4. As always in Caverna, we are playing dwarfs. These little dwarf tiles, here was one dwarf coming out here, put them randomly on it, but it doesn't matter, there is no order for it. However, the next is having some effect. These are actions here. So place them in some order you want, and now we are starting the game. So what are you doing on your turn? We also have walls in here. We have an extra room. We have additional room tiles. I'll show you that in a second. And we have 6 different resources, wood and so on. And you have that either in little round discs here, or 4 of them in wood and 2 in larger cardboard pieces. You have some basic rooms you can always build. They are a little bit different. They are light-sided here on the back side, and you have this brown tiles. And as part of the setup, each player has his own player board, his own cave, and you place on each of these tiles here one room. That's really important. Sometimes you also overplace these tokens here, and as in Caverna, when you excave this tile here, when you remove that tile here, you get this food as well. You start with one room, and that's how you set up the game. In addition, you set up your goods, all your goods here, and you have 6 different ones like this here, all on your track. You track with this one the number of goods you have. You start your goods here on number 1, so you have 1 of each of these items here, and you can place them like this here. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is this gold has a plus 10 on the other side, the others don't have, so the others is maxed out at 9 and gold is maxed out at 19. And you play the game over 8 rounds, and the starting player is alternating between this and that player. It's a 2-player game, so it goes back and forth. At the beginning of each round, you flip over 1 more action, also at the start of the first round, and now you have 5 actions. This 2 determines how many actions each player can take. This dwarfs also determines something else, but I explain that in a second. So, and taking these actions simply means you take one of these tiles. This, for an example, means activate 1 room and get 2 wood. This is either excave a room, so take away one of these tiles, for an example this one here, then this room will become an available room to build later on. And that's really cool because all those rooms are different, so and you never know exactly which room will be available. Or for 2 food you can raise down 2 of these hall rooms and get a stone and so on. Activate a room, get to wheat and so on. And this one is for 1 food per dwarf you can build a room, or for 5 food or 1 gold you can build another room. So the last but not least is this one here, is activate 1 room and get a wood or stone and build a wall. Why building walls is important and rooms building? Of course, let's say later in the game you have cleared all that out. Now you can build rooms. Let's take a closer look to these rooms. These rooms have different requirements. So this, first of all, it costs you to build 1 wood and 2 stone, but it also needs 2 walls in the corner. So you can build that only here. The third one, the light, is a maybe. So you can build it with or without this wall here. It doesn't matter. You can build it also here. It doesn't have to be oriented, so because there are 3 walls visible. So this one here has to be in a corner and so on. This one has to be enclosed by all four sides, and as you can see here is no foresight, so you have to build one here before you can build it, and keep in mind you have to bring that tile out, so this will take a little bit longer to build it. Therefore it's a really good chamber. Yeah, and you play that over 8 rounds. When you take one action, let's assume I'm taking this, your opponent takes one, then you take a second action and your opponent take another action. In the first rounds you have 2 actions, then 3 actions, and last but not least, in the last round, 4 actions. At the end of the game, the only thing that matters is this points here on the building and also gold. Gold is worth 1 point each. If you have, for an example, an additional victory point from somewhere, that also counts, but at the end of the day, each goal is worth 1 victory point, and the buildings are the rest of the victory points. When you activate one of these buildings, you can do, in this case, for an example, add one of any of these types, but just one. That's an ore, of course, like always. But some of these rooms are getting better. This one, for an example here, for 3 of the green ones, you get 2 gold nuggets. That's victory points. Sometimes here, for an example, you get for 2 of this and 1 of this 3 victory points, and so on. But these are coming from these buildings, and as you can see or imagine, by randomizing these tiles here, each single game is different. This is not as different as you think so. I mean, the order in the number 2, number 3 and 4 comes out is slightly a little bit different, but the actions are always the same, but the rooms are always different. That is a quick overview about Caverna, and like always, in a nutshell, I will talk about my personal experiences with Caverna. First of all, I wanted to tell you, Caverna, the real board game, is a really good game in my opinion. I really like it, I really played it a lot, but most of them solitary. Why? It's more a little bit like you build your own stuff, there's not a lot of interaction going on. Here, except for who is doing what actions, and that's the same here. So it's a really good Caverna feeling because it's exactly the same. Here is you're taking the same actions or the same action pool, but everybody can take only once the action. However, the reason that the starting players are turning, so there's always a demand for food, so you always need food, and there's only a couple of things to get food and build buildings. So that's the reason why it goes back and forth between first player, so you always have the ability to take the action you want. I got this game a couple of weeks ago, and when I played it the first time with my wife. And as you maybe know, my wife is not a real gamer, so she was not thrilled about playing a game with me at all. And then a 2-player strategic game, but we played it and she really liked it and she really enjoyed it. And honestly, we played it a little bit longer as it mentioned on the box. So we played it, I would say, including rules and everything, for 50, 55 minutes, maybe an hour. But we both had a lot of fun. We played it again, which is outstanding rare for my wife. So we did it again. And then I took this game to 2, 3, 4 other groups, and we played it always with 2 players because it's a 2-player game, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, and everybody said, wow, that's really cool for a 2-player game, and it has really good Caverna feeling. So bottom line of all of this is everybody who likes Caverna will love Caverna Cave vs. Cave if you are in for a 2-player game. This game captures exactly the feeling of Caverna, feels like a streamlined version, but the randomizer effect of these buildings is huge, it's tremendous, it's gorgeous, simply because you will never find a situation where all this 16, it's 16, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, no, 20 20 buildings are, so 10 on yours and 10 on the opponent. These 20 buildings are never be in the same position. It's impossible. And therefore you never really bring in the buildings in the same way. So you cannot really make a strategic planning of what you want to build. It's always a little bit of a surprise what buildings coming in, but you can really build engine going. You can really build something. For an example, these two are basic buildings, so either use the green or the yellow, or even both of them, because another thing that is always in is this one here. This is a starting ability, so get green and get yellow, and then produce for yellow into food. Food you need always for building some new rooms, and this one turns the green into victory points. There's also another building later on in the game that brings you some victory points here for yellow or green, but you don't need that because you already have this one. So this is probably not a building you want to build, but you can build both of them, and then you have a strategic decision made. But keep an eye on, you have to take this one always. If your opponent is building one of these and you as well one, then you're always fighting against this tile. And that's the beauty, the sweet spot of this game. The sweet spot is building your own engine, hoping that your engine is running well and oiled, and that you are getting the actions you want. Sometimes you will find situations where here you can activate 2 rooms, or later on even 3 rooms. Where's that tile? Always the last tile. So turn in 5 wood or 5 stone into 4 victory points, great, or activate 3 rooms. So both sides are great. Some people are taking that for 4 victory points, which is really awesome, or some will steal that for 3 actions because that's the only tile with 3 actions. And again, that is the beauty of the game, that you have to run your engine, you have to build what you want to get what you want and when you want. Again, all of my playtesters liked Caverna Cave versus Cave, including my wife, which is again very rare, just because it captures the feeling of Caverna perfectly. And if you are up for Uwe Rosenberg's games, and if you're up for Caverna, and you like 2-player games, go buy Caverna. It's really a good game for 2-player with a lot of strategic decisions to make, a lot of meaningful decisions you have to take over the course of the game. But it's under an hour. It's roughly, I would guess, when you know what you have to do, it's roughly 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah, thanks for watching. This was another In a Nutshell edition. My name is Nils, Cyrils Brettspiele, and see you next time. Until then, bye bye.